Okay, so this is the NYC Guitar Group, and my name is Bo Lee. I'm the director for the NYC Guitar Group, and the NYC Guitar Group is a 5,000 plus member guitar network in New York City. It's the largest meetup group in all of New York City. Pretty cool. So we do workshops all the time. We do classes. I teach intermediate classes, beginner classes, advanced classes, songwriting classes, all kinds of one-on-one lessons, all kinds of different things. If you guys ever want to get in touch, you can take a look at my contact info on the front. But we're going to start today talking about the two scales you must know to solo. Now, listen, a lot of people have heard of the Pentatonic Scale. Who's heard of the Pentatonic Scale? Okay, you've heard of it, but do you know how to use it? People who really know what they're talking about with the Pentatonic Scale. If someone said, okay, I'm going to play chords in the key of B, and I want you to solo in the key of B, would you be able to solo up and down the entire guitar neck, playing all the pentatonic notes that exist on the entire guitar neck? That's the type of pentatonic scale I want people to know. And then if they said, okay, this next song is in the key of A, go, and you start soloing. I want you to be able to shift to the key of A, solo up and down the entire guitar neck, improvising on the pentatonic scale, hitting no bad notes, and barely thinking about it. That's the type of knowledge I think that we have to have when we're doing guitar solos, okay? So, in order to do this, and to solo effectively, I think what we need to do is we need to know some music theory. Because even if you learn the pentatonic scale, all the way up and down the guitar neck, you have to know what key the rhythm guitarist is playing in, so you can solo in the same key. Is that true? It's totally true. You have to solo in the same key as the song. So we need to spend a little bit of time talking about theory. So we're going to start that off. Then what we'll do is we'll get into the pentatonic scale. You can see the next handful of pages are talking about the pentatonic scale. And then the last set of pages are talking about the major scale. Those are the two scales that you're going to need to learn to be an excellent lead guitarist. Do you think there are other scales that you need to learn? Why? Why do you think there would be other scales, and what would they be?
You make different sound.
Yeah?
Different variations in your sound, and play different chords in your song.
Yeah. Now, interestingly enough, you probably won't need to learn any other scales other than these two in your entire life. Now, if you want to, if you want to, for some reason, go and learn if you want to learn something that sounds a little bit more like that, or you want to learn something that sounds maybe a little more like Israeli. But really, how often would you use that? Have you listened to a song on the radio recently that uses those? Probably not, right? In my opinion, I think if you learn the pentatonic scale and the major scale, that's all you'd ever need to be a professional lead guitarist. And I kid you not. You can look on YouTube all over the place if you want. Hear people talking about this scale, that scale. Honestly, they're going to be wasting your time. You need to master these two scales. All right. So let's go ahead and let's dive in. I'm ready to go.
Now,
yeah.
The individual scale, like A scale, B scale, C. Is that people just came out with that, or?
Well, the neat thing about the guitar is we have to learn patterns. Can you see that? You see all these dots here? Right there on page 2. Those dots, that is the pentatonic scale. In the key of G. If you want to play in the key of G sharp, what do you do to all of those notes? What are you going to do with them? Do you have to change all those patterns? Or what?
Slide it up.
You shift it. 1 fret, and that's it. Then you'd be in the key of G sharp. And if you shift it another fret that way, what key would you be in? key of A. That means on the guitar what's really cool is you just learn the patterns and they're going to apply to every single key. You don't have to change a thing. All right? So on page 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, I have split up the sections of the pentatonic scale. And there are going to be 5 different sections. Okay? And they actually kind of link together, kind of like trains on a train track. Think about that. There's one section, another section, another section, another section, and another section. And here's how you have to learn. Go to page 3. Okay? We call this section 1 because whatever key that you're in, think of a key of G. What's the first note in the key of G if you're going to play a G major scale? It's G. So we call section 1 number 1 because if you can start it on the first note of the key you want to be in, then you're on track. So let's say you're playing with a band and the song is in the key of G. You're going to play section 1 starting on a G note because G is the first note in that scale. So here's what you're going to do. See that pattern? Look at your sheet, and I'm going to play it slowly and watch how my hand's following that sheet. See? I followed it exactly the same way, okay? Can someone play a G chord? Want to try it? Okay, go to E minor now. Okay, so as long as he's playing chords in the key of G, I can improvise on that section, no problem, and it's going to sound great. Okay? Now look at section 2 on page 4. We're going to call it section 2 because whatever key you want to be in, you have to start that on the second note of that key. Okay? And in a G major scale, what would the second note be? Anybody know? It's an A note. So you have to start the second section on an A note. So we're going to play it right here. Watch this. Ready? Hey, come on. See that pattern? Got that? So all you need to do is you need to memorize this one. So these two sections kind of go side by side. We're on page 3 and 4 right now. All right, so when I'm soloing, watch this, guys. When I'm soloing, I can, if the song's in the key of G, and as long as I start this first section on a G note, I'm going to be in good shape. So I can bounce around on these notes, and then I can slide up into the second section and bounce around those notes. So watch, ready? Now I'm going to go up in the second section. What's up? I didn't do any notes outside of those two patterns. Interesting, right? Now, look at the next page. Let's flip the page and we're going to go to pages 5 and 6. Okay? Do you notice there's two new patterns? There's two new shapes, right? All right. The third pattern, section 3, is going to start on the third note of the key. What key are we trying to play in right now? What did I say?
G.
Key of G. So the first note in the key of G is G. Second note is A. Third note is B. So I'm going to start the third section on the third note of the key. Okay? So watch this. Look at the pattern. Look at your pattern here. And then watch my hands. Ready? going to scoot this up a little bit. Let's see. Okay, here's the third pattern right here. You see how I followed just that pattern right there? You just need to make sure you're starting these in the right place. So if the song that the band's playing in is in the key of G, you can start your section 1 on a G. You can start your section 2 above, right next to that. Section 3 next to that. Okay? Now look at this next section. What do we call it on page 6?
We go to 5.
Section 5. Why was there no section 4? You ever thought about that?
Because there's only 5 notes in the pentatonic scale.
Yeah, so think about this. You know the sound of a major scale? The sound of a major scale sounds like this. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? Then if we turn that into numbers, that would be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But the pentatonic scale, what does the word penti mean? 5. So in a major scale, you're going to have 7 different notes. But in the pentatonic scale, you're only going to have 5. That means we dropped 2 notes of the major scale. Okay? You know that the major scale and the pentatonic scale are very similar. They're almost identical. The only thing with the pentatonic scale is we drop the 4th note and the 7th note. So listen. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that a major scale or pentatonic scale? It's a major scale. Listen to this. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8. Is that major scale or pentatonic? So I dropped out the 4th note and the 7th note. So take a look at, and we're going to compare the pentatonic scale and the major scale. Go to page 2 and keep your finger on 2 and go to page 8 and look at those two. Compare them. You have the pentatonic scale in the key of G and you have the major scale in the key of G. What's the difference? Can you tell a difference at all?
Just extra dots.
In what? Which one has extra dots?
In the major.
Absolutely. And so they're almost identical. Okay? Now, tell me what the difference is between the sounds. Ready? We're gonna take a look at the sounds. Pentatonic. I'm gonna do a pentatonic solo. That's pentatonic. Here's major. Sure, yeah, you can. I think that would be good. But what did you hear the different? What about the difference in sound? Can you like explain it at all? Pentatonic?
Well, if you drop the 4th and 7th, you get a static sound. You get a minor sound.
That's pentatonic. Here's major scale. Yeah, it has a different flavor. Pentatonic is going to have a blues or a rock sound, a little more aggressive. Major scale can sound maybe more classical, maybe a little bit softer, a little bit less aggressive. And so when I solo, I mix the two. And when you solo, you're going to want to mix the two. So you need to learn 2 scales in your life, and that's it. I don't think that you need to learn any more. I don't care. I don't care what anybody on YouTube says. If they tell you need to learn more, they're lying to you. Right? You can play on a professional level and know 2 scales, but you need to know them well, and you need to know your theory. All right? So, yep.
When you say pentatonic section 1,
Mm-hmm.
because I know
You know all 5 of them.
I know 5 shapes. You said there were only 4. That's why I got confused. But my 1 is not your 1.
Right.
My 1 is your
6. Your 1 is, right? That's what you say.
No, my 1 is your 1 is my 2, and yours.
If you're playing minor.
Right. Yeah.
You're playing G minor.
Yes. And so you're gonna find.
No, it says pentatonic.
No, you're absolutely right. And so that's how most people come to me and they have learned it. The problem is that's going to confuse you like crazy. It is. Because almost everybody learns it that way, and I think that's such a bad thing. Because the reason that I named section 1, is because in whatever key you want to solo in, you have to start on the 1 note. That is one of the most important things that you can get down today. You need to understand this concept. The naming of these sections, I gave them numbers. And they have to be associated with the number in the key that you're in. So if you're thinking about the key of G, like a G scale, what's the first note in the key of G? Okay. So you're supposed to take the 1 section and put it on the 1 note, and then it will sound good. But if you take your 1 section and you put it on the G, you're in a totally different key. You're in the key of A sharp.
If I play the 1 4 1 3 1 3 1 3.
Yeah. If you start that on a G, you're not in the key of G.
If you were playing a G backing track, let's say G minor backing track.
G minor backing track is different than a G backing track.
Oh, that's what it's.
Yes. Okay? So when musicians talk, they're going to usually talk about the key of G, the key of A, the key of B. So watch this real quick. Okay? Listen to this, guys. You in tune?
Probably.
Okay, cool.
You can't hear me anyway. I can only bring this with me. You can't hear me anyway.
Can you switch guitars for a second? Can you use your guitar so we can hear it a little bit more?
It's okay.
Yeah, I want to show you like what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to play chords in the key of G.
He doesn't know if he's in. Give me an E. Yeah,
It's okay. It's okay.
No, you're not at all.
Okay. So I'm going to play chords in the key of G. All right? And I want you to play what I call the 6th section. I want you to start it on a G.
What you call the 6th section?
Yeah, the one that you said, 1 4 1 3 1 3 1 3 1 4 1 4.
Oh.
Okay?
You call the 6th section. I see.
Okay, now let's see if this sounds right. Ready? That's right. Now try the 1 section there.
Which is my 2. You're your 2.
1, 2, ready, go. Which one sounded better?
Right.
That one sounded better, right?
Of course.
Right.
So musically I hear it. So now the reason once again, I'm sorry. Why you move it?
You just need to throw everything about the numbers that you learned before out the window forevermore. And learn it this way, because this is how it's going to work. If someone says that this song's in the key of G, all right, you have to start the 1 section on a G note. That's the only way it's going to sound right.
Your 1 section.
My
Mine
1
too.
section.
Okay.
Not your
Not
one.
my 1 section.
Yeah. Okay?
All right.
And then it's going to work. All right? And then we need to think about this. So the 1 section will be played like this. Okay? Now think about this. Every string has 2 notes. Watch this. Ready? 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Right? 2 notes on each string. What if we call it low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high? Well, on the first section, You have low and high. Your second section is going to start on the high. Okay? That's where the second section's low is going to be. Okay, now, so you have low, high. This is where your third section is going to start. Okay, low, high, low, high, low, high. This is where your fifth section is going to start, right? Low, high, low, high, low, high. This is where your what section is going to start? Six. And that's it. And guess what? Here's your sixth section. Low, high, low, high, low, high. What section do you think is going to start up here? Starts all over again. Your one. That means you have the whole octave, the whole neck you can solo on the pentatonic scale and never get one note wrong. Isn't that kind of cool? So you have to memorize all 5 patterns. Now, here's a question for you guys. Let's say I told you I was going to play in the key of B as in boy. Where would you play the first section? Where are you playing it? Where are you playing it?
7.
Okay, let's see if it sounds right. Let's listen. Ready? How is it? How is it sounding? One at a time. Let it play. Any bad notes in there? Did it sound bad anywhere?
I hit the wrong one.
Maybe he hit the wrong note. But overall, you were playing in the right place, and that's why all the notes sounded right. Okay? Questions on that? So if we're in the key of B, if the chords that the rhythm guitarist is playing are in the key of B, and you played your one section here, where would you play your second section? Right above it, right? Low, high, low, high, low, high. This is where you'd start your second section. Okay? Low, high, low, high, low, high. Where are you going to start your third section? Right here. Got that? Okay, look at this. Third section. Low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. Where are you going to start your fifth section? Right here. Right where that last one ended. And if you want to, here's your 5 section. If you want to go even higher, 6 section. That's how it works in every single key. Now, go back to page 1. And there is a little bit about music theory there that I think is good for you to get comfortable with. I think if there is one thing that you could learn about music that is more important than anything else, I think it's theory. And I do theory workshops, and in any class that I teach, I almost always will start with helping people to master the theory. Because if you can get the theory down, you can access basically anything at the advanced level. Eventually, you can work up to it. Without the theory, you basically limit yourself to like 50% or less of what you could ever understand. That's why this is so incredibly important. So, let's go ahead and take a look at it real quick. We've got a matrix. If anyone's watching the video, you guys can look right at that. We have a matrix here. How many notes are there in a key? Really important. Listen up for a second. Listen up. How many notes are there in a key?
Well, 8 technically, 7 technically.
7 different notes in a key, right? 1 and 8 are the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's an octave. So there's actually 7 different notes. Okay? Now, there are also 7 different chords in a key. And you need to know how to figure out what chords are in a key. Because let me tell you something. If I said, I'm going to play a song, write this down. Do you guys have pens? Write these down. If I said, I'm going to play a song, just find any scratch area to write it down.
I mean, I can keep this?
Yeah. Let's say I said I'm going to play a song, and the chord progression is G sharp minor, C sharp minor, E, and F sharp.
What's the question?
Well, if you ever want to do anything with your soloing, you have to know your theory enough to figure out what key that's in.
Oh, B.
No, definitely not. You'd be in big trouble if you soloed in the key of D.
Wait, C sharp minor, D sharp minor.
C sharp minor is not in the key of D, so the very first
Said B, I think.
G sharp minor,
Oh, G sharp minor.
yeah, G sharp minor, and C sharp minor, E, and F sharp.
Sharp.
There's only one key that it fits in. And if you get it wrong, you're in big trouble. Because your solos are only going to sound good in one key. And that's why the theory matters. It doesn't even matter if you learn both your scales. If you can't solo in the key that the song's being played in, it's not going to sound good. Any thoughts? You say, what did you say?
I think it's B. I think he was saying B, though.
You said B as in boy? Oh, I thought you said D as in dog. Yeah, you're right. It was B. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's B as in boy. So we had a 6 chord. Then what chord? 2. Then what?
4,
And then
5.
6, 2, 4, 5. You guys ever notice or heard any more advanced players talking about chord progressions in terms of numbers?
Yeah.
We're going to do a 6, 2, 4, 5 chord progression, right? If you go to the studio and you hire studio musicians, they'll talk in numbers all the time because they're thinking about the theory. Okay? So the only key that you could solo in would be the key of B, and then it would sound good. So where do you put section 1 of your pentatonic scale? What note do you put it on?
B.
A B. Boom. Then you're ready to rock. Okay? Now, I want you to notice something. Write down another chord progression, okay? But I want you to...
That's your section 1, so I don't... Okay.
I will always talk about it that way.
Okay.
Because if you think about... Yeah, why would you put section 2 on the 1 note? The numbers don't align, you know?
Yeah, but would all other musicians say it that way too? If you said to play section 2 of the pentatonic, or section 1, they'd be playing what my 2 is?
It depends if they really know their theory or not. If they're just monkeying around, then
Interesting.
yeah.
It's a quick adjustment. It's not
You're
even
playing in G minor,
Right.
then what you're playing is right. In G minor.
Yes, that's
So it depends what.
true.
Say 1, 2, 3 in the key of G minor or G major. That's going to determine the first one.
Yeah, with my students, what I do is I encourage them never to think in a minor key. I encourage them always to think in a major key. Did you know that the 6 let's say the key of B minor, did you know that that's the same as the key of D major? Did you ever know that? They have the same notes in them. They're called the relative minor and the relative major. If you take a look at the 6 chords and the 1 chord, if someone ever said we're in the key of F sharp minor, it's exactly the same as what? The key of A major. Did you know that? The only difference is when they say we're in the key of F sharp minor, they're telling you we're focusing on minor chords a lot. We're basically in the key of A, but we're going to be focusing on the minor chords a lot in this song. So it's going to be a sad sounding song. Okay? So what you can do, if someone ever says that they're in a minor key, if they say, I'm in the key of G sharp minor, what key would you solo in?
You just gotta go backwards.
Go forward.
Yeah, well, what key would you solo in? If I said we're going to
B
be...
something.
Huh?
B
No, you
probably.
said G.
B. That's exactly it.
Because it's 2 up.
Yeah,
If
so...
you say the minor, I know the relative minor is either, if you say the major chord, then the minor is 2 below. If you say the minor chord, then the major is 2 above.
Right, so it's just 6 and 8.
I'm really a piano player. I see the piano keyboard
Good.
in my head.
Good. Piano's a great way to think about theory.
I can only see it in my head on a keyboard.
Yeah, that's a really good way to learn theory. I like to teach theory with the piano actually a lot. So 6 and 1 are always the same. If someone says we're gonna be soloing in the key of A minor, or this song is in the key of A minor, what key do you solo with the pentatonic in?
The G minor, the G.
Hmm?
G.
Nope. So 6 and 8, they're always going to be connected. So if someone says A minor, you go C. If someone says B minor, you play in D. If someone says E minor, you play in. So I think...
When you say you play, if someone says A minor, so according to the chart, I play in C. This is where I'm really weak, is theory, very terribly hard.
Yeah.
You say I play in C, meaning I'm going to start on a C note?
That's right. You started one section on the C note.
Again, I just want to hear what
Yep. That's exactly it. And we could test this out if we wanted to, okay? So I'm going to play in the key of A minor. So let's see what you can do. Let's see if you guys can figure that out. You've got a solo in the key of C. So your one section starts on what note?
C.
Okay, let's listen. Ready? See how that works? So I train my students, just think in major keys. Just think about it. And if someone says a minor key, you think, okay, the minor key is the 6. So what's the 1? Sorry if that's a little confusing, but I usually like to take a good half hour, 45 minutes to talk about theory stuff. Okay, so here's a trick for you guys. If what number of chords are major chords in a key? Look on the chart. What numbers are major?
1, 4, 5, 8.
1, 4, 5, and 8. And 8's the same as 1, right? So 1, 4, and 5. Now do this with me. Take your fingers and go like this. Put your thumbs in. We're just going to think about 1 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord, 7 chord, 8 chord. I want you to drop all the numbers that are not major, meaning keep only major chords up.
4.
Boom. Like this, right? 2 is minor. So 1 is a major, 4 is major, 5 is major, 8 is major. Is that true? Okay. Now,
I got, what did I miss?
1, 4.
That's 4.
Yep. And then 5 is right next to it, right? And then 8. Now 8 is the same as 1, so we don't need to have that twice. So go like that. Now look at this. If I gave you a chord progression and you saw 3 major chords in it, do you think you could figure out which ones are the 4 and the 5?
The ones that are only
The consecutive.
a step apart.
You're right. So the other one would be what number? The root. So you see, learning your theory is very helpful. Now take a pen. Let's go to the front of your packet. Front of your packet. Take a pen, and I want you to write down this chord progression. G. So G major. B minor, B is in boy, minor. D is in dog, A is in apple. Now, what numbers are major chords? In every key, what numbers are major chords in any key? 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5th chord. Now, you have to figure out what key that's in if you're ever going to solo with it, right? What key is that chord progression in? So you look for the 3 major chords. Can you guys figure out which numbers are the 4 and the 5?
The G and D, the G and the A.
The G and the A. And why do you know that the G and the A are the 4 and the 5 chords?
Because they're a whole step apart and they're both major.
Right. So what is the 1 chord in that chord progression?
D.
D is in dog. So let's see if that sounds good. You now solo in the key of D is in dog, and we're going to see if it sounds right. Okay? Now, how do you solo in the key of D?
The first position starting on a D.
First position starting on a D. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. How does it sound? See how that works? Isn't that cool? Okay, if you put that position anywhere else, it would not sound right. You have to be exact. There's only one key that you can solo in. It has to be the key that the song is being played in, right? This is why you have to learn theory. Okay, you have to learn your 2 scales, and you have to learn your theory. We have a good amount of time left, so this is good.
So if I started, I'm just talking, I'm in your section now. I just have to change my 1. It's not that big a deal. So in position 1, let's say on the G, play with the G. By the time I get to your 6, right, what you're calling 6, because we don't have a 4, I would have to be on the 12th fret, wouldn't I?
That's exactly right. If you're in the key of G, that's exactly right.
But if I'm on the 12th fret, see, I do this because I've seen the piano key, I just see it in there. So if I'm on the 12th fret, then I'm playing an E, right? I'm on an E, right?
Yeah, that's an E note. That's exactly it.
An E, which means that okay. I'm trying to think. That's in a major scale we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay, that's why. I was thinking minor. It's only in a major scale.
That's right.
So if we said that we're only playing, like if you were playing a G minor backing track or a D minor.
Yeah. Think of that as a 6.
That's technically your 6.
That's how you should forevermore think about it. If someone says a minor key,
right,
you just think that's the 6. That's all you do. You think about that. That's exactly it. If I said the key of E minor, if I said I'm playing the key of E minor, you just start your 6 on the E.
On the E, right.
Okay?
But if you're playing the G minor, I'm going to start my 6 on the. You want me to start my 6? My 6 is now on an E. That's what I'm asking.
If we said the key of G minor, here's the question, guys. Here's the question. What key should you think if someone says we're going to be in the key of G minor? You have to think about that as a 6. A sharp. That's right. So if you just align all your scales to the key of A sharp, it's going to work really well. So if someone says you're in a minor key, all you have to do is say, well, that's the 6. If someone says we're in the key of G minor, just think that's the 6th note. Okay? Now, we need to do a little more theory here. Usually I'll take a little bit more time to do theory, but let's just look this over real quick, okay? Take a look at page 1. This is the most important thing about music that you could ever learn. You need to pay very close attention to this. How many notes are there in total? All the different notes that exist. Anyone know?
12.
There's 12. There's A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. There's 12 different notes. If you skip one of those notes, let's say going from A to B, we call that a whole step. Okay? If you go to A sharp, how far is that?
Half.
It's a half step. If you go from C to C sharp, how far is that?
Half.
If you go from C to D, how far is that?
Whole.
Okay. That's an important concept, that you learn whole step and half steps. If you don't know that, write that down. You need to understand what a whole step is and what a half step is. Now, E and F is a half step. Yep, you're right. Now look at the chords in the key of A. Okay? Do you notice that the first chord and the second chord, how far are they apart from each other? From A to B minor. How far is that apart? Are they half step away from each other, or are they a whole step away from each other?
Whole step.
They're a whole step, right? Because A to A sharp would be a half step. A to B is a whole step. What you need to do is you need to memorize the spacing between each one of these, because they're not all whole steps. Right now, I want you to see if you can find where the half steps are between these number of chords. Can you figure that out? Huh?
On the A chord, 2 and 3 is a half step.
Nope.
No.
Look it up. Look.
C, sorry.
Yeah, look it up, guys. Look it up.
F, 5 to 6.
Where are the half steps? Nope, you're wrong again. So figure it out first before you tell me.
F sharp, that's why, I'm sorry. E to F sharp is not a half step.
That's right. So what you got to do, guys, is you want to see there's going to be two places where the chords are not a whole step apart. They're a half step.
7 to 8, G sharp to 8.
7 and 8. So what I want you to do is take your pens,
And C sharp to D.
put a little mark showing that it's a half step. Look at this. You see how I put like a little triangle thing right there?
3 to 4.
7 and 8 is the half step.
And that's true of the whole.
That's true of every key in the world.
So 3 and 4 then.
3 and 4 is a half step, and 7 and 8. Okay? Now, can you identify which numbers are major? Doesn't matter what key you're in. What numbers end up being major chords?
1, 4, 5, and 8.
1, 4, 5, and 8. And we don't need to say 8 because 8's the same as the 1. So we think 1, 4, and 5 are major, right? Which numbers are minor?
2, 3, and 6.
2, 3, and 6. And which number is diminished?
7.
7. And we don't ever use 7, really. Basically, no one ever plays those diminished chords because it sounds weird. It sounds kind of like a circus. Okay, you guys got that? So you should, I kid you not, this is one of the most important things that you could ever do. You should learn these rules, and on the train, you should be sitting there saying the chords in a key. You should say, okay, key of D, D major, whole step to the 2 chord, which would be E, and is a 2 chord major or minor?
2 chords minor.
Minor. Okay, E minor is the 2 in the key of D. What's the 3? E minor is the 2. How far do you go from 2 to 3? Is it a whole step or half step?
From a B to a C sharp.
From a 2 to a 3 chord, is it a whole step or a half step?
Whole.
Okay, so E minor was a 2. What's the 3?
E, F sharp.
F sharp what?
Minor.
Minor. Okay? That's the 3 chord in the key of D. So we have D major, E minor, F sharp minor. How far is it from 3 to 4? Is it a whole step or a half step?
Half.
It's a half step. F sharp minor was a 3. What's the 4 going to be then?
F sharp minor is
You go a half step forward, which would take you to G, right? But what kind of chord is a 4 chord? Is it major or minor?
major.
Major. So you see, what I'm doing is I am walking through the rules, the theory rules. And I'm trying to figure out on the train with no instrument, without even looking at this. I want to be able to go through all the chords 1 through 8 in the key of D. And I want to be able to do it in the key of A, the key of B, C, D, E, F, G, A, all 7 keys. Because those are the keys that you're working with. And what I want people to be able to do is if someone takes a chord chart and puts it in front of you, within 2 seconds you should be able to figure out what key that's in. All right? So your eyes, when you see a chord chart, your eyes look at the chords. You find the 3 major chords. You identify which one the 4 and the 5 are, right? Because they're going to be major chords and they'll be a whole step apart. Is that true? And then the other major chord is going to be what number? The 1, right? And then you'll know what key to solo in. You have to know your theory if you're going to solo in the right keys. Or you are going to be just monkeying around your whole life. So you have to get this down. So I have my students, the 1, 4, 5, and 6 are the most popular chords. If you listen to anything on the radio, 90% of the chords that you hear are a 1, 4, 5, and 6 chord. In just different keys, depending on what song the key's in. I have my students memorize the 1, 4, 5, and 6 in all 7 keys. And I make them be able to say them all in less than 10 seconds. That means 7 keys they have to say in less than 10 seconds.
All 7 keys?
All 7 keys, and I have them make them say the 1, the 4, the 5, and the 6 chords. So it'd be like this. Ready? C, F, G, A minor, D, G, A, B minor, E, A, B, C sharp minor, F, B flat, C, D minor, G, C, D, E minor, A, B, D, E, F sharp minor, B, E, F sharp, G sharp minor. So I did all 7 keys. I said the 1, 4, 5, and 6 in all 7 keys. And I make all my students do that. Because when you throw a chord chart in front of someone, within, like I said, within 2 seconds, you should just look at it, boom, you know what key it's in, and you solo. Why should you not be able to do that? I mean, what good are you as a lead player if you can't figure out what key a song is in? Because you have to solo in that key, right? So this is going to be a real help for you, but you got to learn those rules. In every key, the 3 and 4 are how far apart from each other. In every key, the 7 and 8 are how far apart from each other. And everything else is a whole step. You need to memorize that. You have to memorize that. In every key, what numbers are the major chords?
1, 4, 5.
You need to memorize that. In every key, what numbers are minor chords?
2, 3, 6.
You need to memorize that. In every key, which number is what kind of chord is a 7? Diminished. And that's all the theory rules you need. But you need to learn those, and you need to practice them. You should. If I ask you any key, if you come back 2 months from now and I ask you any key, I say, what are the 7 chords in the key of B? Go. You should be able to say them all with no instrument, with no piece of paper, or with no notes. Okay? And if you can do that, you should be able to look at, chord charts and figure out what key they're in.
In a lot of songs that have a G, C, D pattern, they throw an A minor in there. A lot of songs.
Okay, well let's think. Ready?
Well, here's my question.
Okay, so let's think.
That A minor is not the 6th chord. I'm looking here, it's the 2 chord.
But what key do they all fit in?
They fit in the G.
Yes.
But also the...
So which one is the 1?
G.
Which one is the 4?
C.
Which one is the 5?
D.
Which one is what is A minor?
Well, the 2.
Boom, it's in the key of G. So if you're going to solo, what key do you solo in?
G.
See how that works?
G, no, I guess I thought that you're saying the 6th chord is a minor chord.
Well, in that song, they're not using the 6th chord. They're using the 2 instead, and that's fine.
A lot of songs have that A minor.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of songs.
Sure. 2 chord is kind of popular, but what I'm saying is the 1, 4, 5, and 6 are the most popular. If you were to go and look at the top 100 songs right now and convert those keys and chords into numbers, 90% of them are going to be the 1, 4, 5, and 6 in different orders. It's really strange how it works.
2, 5, 1 is popular.
That's jazz.
Turnaround, yeah, jazz music.
Yeah, that's jazz.
There are people on YouTube, you know, they go 100 songs without changing the notes. You
Yeah.
understand?
And that's what
100 popular songs, bro. They're just GCD. They will not change. But 100 choruses.
Yeah.
They're transcribing the songs to be all in the same key.
Well, it doesn't
Right.
matter. It's still a one for it.
No.
Yeah, it's the numbers. It's showing you that certain numbers are very common, right? So if you learn this theory, you can go to a song that you like and look and just see what key is this in and what numbers are being used. And you can learn a lot from that. You can learn a lot about songwriting. Okay, so I want to move on now. Okay? Does that make sense? I think this is very good for you to really analyze. That's going to help you. You need to memorize all the sections of the pentatonic scale. How many different sections are there? How many different sections? 5, right? Now, think for a second. Why isn't there a section called 4?
Well, I think it has something to do with why I'm calling my one and your one.
All right, look at this sheet. Look at this sheet. Ready? If this note is the 1 note, where is the 2 note? How far apart is 1 and 2? That's your 2 note. And that's where you start your second section. If that's your 2 note, how far is it to the 3rd note? That's your 3rd note, and that's where you start your 3rd section. You see what I'm saying? You see how it links up? If that's your 3rd note, how far is it from 3 to 4?
Well, 1 and a half.
No, I'm saying like in a normal major scale or in music theory, how far is it from your 3 to 4?
Oh, half steps.
It's a half step, isn't it? And it should be there, but as I said, the pentatonic scale throws out the 4 notes, and that's why it's not there. Now, if this is the 4 note, how far is it to the 5 note? There's your 5 note. What section do you start on your 5 note? Section
3.
5. 5 note, you start section 5 there. How far is it from the 5th note to the 6th note?
Well, half step. Whole step.
It's a whole step. There is your 6th note. What section do you start on your 6th note? It's not a trick question. It's very easy. It's a 6.
Yeah.
6th note, you start your 6th section. 5 note, start your 5 section. 3rd note, you start your 3rd section there. 2nd note, start your 2nd section there. 1st note, start your 1st section there. Does it get any easier than that? It's pretty, it's not, you know, there's no trick to it. But that's why you need to know your theory, because it links in very, very clearly. Okay? So what I did for you on the next few pages is I actually split the sections up. So you have 1 section per page. It'll make it easier to memorize. Every day when you practice, you want to practice all 5 sections. You're gonna sit there and you're gonna practice them just like this. Ready? You start your practice and you go. 1 section, 2 section, 3rd section, 5 section, and you want to say the numbers, so you remember the name of the numbers. 6th section. Got it? That's how you practice your pentatonic scale, and you want to get to the point where you can go down in less than 4 seconds. Down and up in less than 4 seconds. My advanced players, they have to do it in less than 3. All right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our major scale, and we're going to take a look at that on page 8. All right? Major scale on page 8. And all the sections that you have in the pentatonic scale, you're going to have in the major scale. you have 5 sections in the pentatonic scale, 5 sections in the major scale. And your hand's going to be in the same position. Okay, so watch this, guys. What I'm going to do is I will start my first section of the pentatonic here. Ready? And I'm going to start my major scale right here, too. I'm going to start my 2 section of the pentatonic scale on the 2nd note of the key, right here. My 2nd section of the major scale, I'm going to start right in the same place. Now watch. 3rd, okay, here's my first note of the, I'm playing in the key of G. There's my first note. I start my first section there. 2nd note, I start my second section there. 3rd note, what section do I play here? Okay. Pentatonic. Here's major scale. Okay, now 4 notes kind of like smashed in the 3rd section. So we're not going to have any section called 4 section. Okay? Not even on major scale. 3, 4, 5. Okay? Here's my 5 section for the pentatonic scale. Here's my 5 section for the major scale. Here's my 6th section for the pentatonic scale. Here's my 6th section for the major scale. Okay, so listen. That's all you're ever going to have to learn about scales. You need to learn all the sections of the pentatonic, all the sections of the major scale. So then what you can do, if you look at a song and you figure out that the chords are in the key of G, here's what you can do. I can start here soloing on first section of pentatonic. And if I want to throw in a little major scale, I can too. Okay? But I don't have to stay in the first section. I could solo just as easily on the 2nd section, right? Pentatonic. Major scale. Right? I can go just as easily if you're playing in the key of G, I can solo in the 3rd section if I want, right? Pentatonic. Major scale. Pentatonic. You see what I'm doing? And I can do that in the 5th section or the 6th section. If you're soloing in the key of G, it makes no difference whatsoever what section I'm playing in. In fact, all I'm doing is playing notes in the key of G here. And if I go up here, I'm just playing them up like another octave. Same notes. If I go up here, playing the same exact notes, just up another octave. Go here, same exact notes, just another octave. Up here, same exact notes, right? I'm just moving it up, but they're the same exact note. So it makes no difference. So when I solo, I mix it up. I'll start up here on the 6th section. 5 section. 3. 2. 1. See what I'm doing? I'm just kind of like shifting from one section to the next to the next. That's it. 2 different scales. You just need to memorize them. So what I did for the major scale to make this easy for you, go to the next page, page 9.
Oh, I gotta go.
You gotta go?
I thought it was only 1 hour.
Okay, cool.
So I make plans.
Okay, sounds good. Good to see you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Yep, have a good day. Go to page 9. Page 9. We're going to see section 1. And because there's so many notes, what I did is I just put the finger number that you're going to use for those. And you want to take very close note to the finger number, because I arranged it the exact perfect way. So this is 1 finger, 2 finger, 3 finger, 4 finger. Got it? All right, so every day you should do all 5 sections of the pentatonic scale, and every day you should do all 5 sections of the major scale. My recommendation, hold on one second, man. Hold on one second. Every day you should solo in the key of G only for probably 3 months. To get it memorized, to get it down fast, to get it drilled into your head. And then after that, then I think you could start to shift into different keys. All right. Any questions? Time for questions. Is that helpful?
Theory is so important.
So important, man. No great player is going to want to play with you unless you have your theory. You know?
I used to work for David Letterman. I sit with a band when they were rehearsing. He used to let me sit with them.
Oh, wow.
It was so much fun.
They're good.
And Will Lee and now I forgot the guitarist's name. I used to sit there. He goes, "Yeah, try it in G." And he wouldn't even look. And Will, he was drunk. He would be G. He's high. He's just standing in the air. Dude, you're not even looking at it. He goes, "Just
right.
No, for anything." Paul Sheridan said, "Yeah, change it. Let's try it in D." He wasn't even looking. The guy was staring in space. Just
yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
Incredible. I just on stage during rehearsal and all. It was fun.
Yep. If you guys can memorize that theory stuff, what's going to happen over the next year if you're playing is like more. You're going to start to like notice more things, like how this theory like applies to everything that you're doing. It's really quite cool. So I hope this was really helpful to you guys, and I'm always available for questions if you guys ever have any questions.